The Meeple Nation podcast, episode 582, our top 5 open drafting games.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table.
This week we are continuing our discussion of open drafting games. This episode we are going to focus on hitting on our top 5 games. So buckle up. This is going to be a good time with some good games. And it's on video.
Mm-hmm. Is it?
We'll see.
And he's got to finish eating his candy.
Yeah, I just took
like,
a piece of
come
candy.
on.
Perfect timing.
Mm-hmm. Give me just a sec.
A few hours later.
A few hours later.
Small mouth, guys.
Yep, small mouth.
It takes time. All right. Welcome to Meeple Nation. We are your hosts. I am Andy Holliday.
I'm Douglas Stewart.
And I'm Nathan Howard.
Yes, you are, Nathan, and we're proud of you for being Nathan Howard.
Yeah. You know, it's great. I just wanted to hit on that the three of us are here, right? The core three. It's fun when Dave's here for sure. Dave's work schedule doesn't allow him to be all the time, but I really enjoyed the last episode, the video episode that I edited, and I put in the names and it'd show up to myself, it'd show up to Doug, and it'd show up to Dave, and then your name came up. And it kind of floats around the screen like it's looking for something. You know?
With a question mark at the end.
Yeah, with the question mark at the end. Like, where's Andy?
Well, I'm back.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back.
Yeah, it was graduation last week. So
yeah, well, we got your text
ago.
mid-episode, so you probably haven't listened to the episode yet, but I received your episode, or I received your text and responded to your text live
awesome.
when we were recording. So
cool. Yeah,
we all clued into where you were, and we all allowed it.
Okay.
And
well, Doug was a little disgruntled, but
I don't know if I allowed it, but I got over it.
I'll have to make it up to Doug then.
yeah.
Okay. We'll cuddle after.
Ah, good times. A big cuddle puddle. A big Meeple Nation cuddle puddle.
There we go. All right. So if you would like to hear more about or see more about Meeple Nation, we don't have cuddle puddles on the website, but we would love for you to go over to the website at meeplenation.com. Check out what we have there. We have links to all of our episodes. We have bios of each of us. None of those also talk about cuddle puddles, but they are still interesting. They kind of talk how we got into gaming and how we ended up in Meeple Nation. We also have our sidecast, the SaltPOD podcast, that's going to talk about the SaltCON convention that happens 3 times a year, plus BryceCon, which happens twice. And this is a new thing we've started doing over the last few months, so we're really excited about it. We have explain what's going on with SaltCON and all the goodness that goes with that. We also have a link to our Patreon page. We love our patrons. We thank you so much. Because of you, we now have video, and we are upgrading the podcast. This is upgraded Meeple Nation. Maybe, now that you've seen our faces, maybe not, but we do appreciate our patrons. We thank you for your help, and if you want to become a patron, click that link, go over to our Patreon page, become an official member of Meeple Nation. We also would love for you to jump over to any of our social media accounts and join our groups and follow us. If you have anything that you would like to say to us, questions, comments, anything you want us to, maybe we might bring it up on an episode, hit us up at meeplenation@gmail.com, and we would love to hear from you and communicate with you.
We love game suggestions.
We sure do.
Meeple Nation podcast is sponsored by Game Toppers LLC. They have amazing tables, and they have amazing toppers that go on a table. So you can either have a whole table solution if you get a leg kit, or you can just put it on that dining table that you have and enjoy it on game night. They have beautiful mats, high quality stuff. Go check them out. GameToppersLLC.com.
Fantastic. And that, my friends, leads us to checking our watches.
It is
And
that
it is
time.
indeed Highlight 30,
I'm way excited.
where we talk about all of the great things that we've been doing for the last week or so.
Or so. Yeah.
So, Nathan, start us off. I'm excited about some of the things you have on your list.
I'm way excited because it's getting to be warmer season, right? I'm not wearing a jacket. That's a big sign. All the way through May, I was still wearing my jacket. So June, I'm getting through and not wearing the jacket, and that means the weather's changed and that I'm not so whiny and cold.
It's already too hot.
Finally.
Is it?
Finally,
Yeah.
it warmed up enough for Nathan to stop being whiny.
Yeah. Well, enjoy it. It only lasts about 2.5 months. But as comes warmer weather, comes the opportunity to have some barbecues. And so we had our first barbecue. We had Memorial Day weekend, and we had the opportunity to get some of us together. Andy had better things to do, so he didn't join us, but we had myself, Douglas and his family. We had Brad, we had Richie and their families, and we had Jim and Kim were there as well. And we had some good times. I made some sliders and some brats, and everybody brought some stuff. Yeah, it's funny. Short story long. Thursday night is my game night. Friday night's Andy's game night, and then Saturday was this barbecue. And so there's several group chats out there that are going on, and somebody piped up that they were going to bring something on Saturday. And so
This was happening on Friday night.
yeah, it was happening on Friday night, right before game night
Yeah.
at Andy's house. And so I'm said in the chat, trying to be ironic or whatever. I said, well, I'm
Trying to
bringing
be sarcastic.
Yeah, sarcastic. Could be a little bit ironic.
Smart.
Sorry.
Don't you think?
Never mind.
Yeah, no, you
Smart
probably
something.
smart something.
Yeah.
Or dumb something. Depends on.
Smart aleck.
Yeah. Anyways, I said I was going to bring sliders and brats. And Andy interpreted that as I was going to bring them to his game night.
Yeah, because why would he bring them to his own barbecue? So I'm like, oh, sweet. Nathan's bringing brats and sliders. I'm not eating.
I'm not eating.
Come 9 o'clock, I'm like, man, I'm starving. Where's Nathan?
He sends me a text. Hey, what's your ETA? Like, oh, well, still home with the wife doing some things. I'm hoping to be by a little bit later. And then when I show up, and Amara, your daughter's there, and she's like, where's your sliders and brats?
She's like, I'm hungry.
What do you mean? That's tomorrow. And yeah, poor Andy had a result to eating pistachios.
I did eat pistachios, although I love pistachios. So,
Yeah.
But I had pistachios and soda. Way too many sodas, mind you,
Yeah.
for dinner.
So to make up for it tonight when we're podcasting, I did smoke some ribs.
That is true. And they were delicious.
And so we had
They
some
were
ribs.
very good.
But going back to the game night, the barbecue night, highlight for me, really big highlight for me is there was people kind of separated inside, outside, upside down. Cheryl stayed inside, and she taught games. She taught Jim and Kim how to play River Valley Glassworks. She taught them how to play. They played a round of Can't Stop. They knew how to play that. She taught them.
They played way more than one round.
Yeah.
They were
did.
playing that one, I think, on and off all night long.
Jim had played or had printed a 3D version
Yep.
of a portable 3D version of Can't Stop. So it was really cool. So he was way excited. He brought that for me, and Cheryl was way excited. So they played it. And then that led into, they played Framework, and they played one other game. And but I was so impressed. Dice Hospital Emergency Roll was the other game that she taught. And I was just really impressed that she was able to teach these games and did it without much questions for me. There was a little bit of question on Emergency Roll because mostly we play that on BGA. The setup, there was some questions there, but once she got going, I mean, she told them exactly what was going on, and then they figured it out. But yeah, I love the warmer weather. I love the opportunities to get together And I kind of wish I had played more games like Cheryl did, but I had a blast. I enjoyed the company. I enjoyed that you weren't there, Andy.
I'm sure. But you didn't play games, so it would have been really nice if I wouldn't have been there if you played
the
games.
ironic thing is, we were talking, and I was out talking with Doug, and I suggested, Doug, do we play a game? And he's like, well, do you mean like a party game, or do we sneak upstairs and play a game? And I'm like, if I snuck off and played a game, Cheryl would be way mad. And then what does Cheryl do? She didn't really sneak off, but she goes off and plays games.
She was in the corner.
Yeah, she was in the corner playing games.
You
So.
totally could have snuck off and played a real game.
Totally could have. I probably would have still been in trouble, but
Yeah, probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we would be further away, and then she'd be like, now I have to entertain. And yeah. That's a lot of anxiety.
Yeah,
So.
I get that.
But anyways, I love barbecue season, and I love to ramble. And so with all that, I'm going to conclude my highlight there.
Sounds like you nailed both of it. So
Yeah.
awesome. Good job.
So Tag, you're it, Andy.
All right. Well, I picked up Everdell Duo and played this with Sabrina, and it was cool. I liked it a lot. It was fun. So it's very different. You know, it has its similarities to the core game, but it plays very differently as far as you have a sun and a moon token on a pathway, and depending on what action you take, you can have up to 3 actions that you can take. You can play a card from your hand or from the meadow. That will allow you to move either of the tokens. You can, take a card from the meadow, you'll move either token. If you play a card from your hand, it's going to move the moon token. If you place one of your workers, it moves the sun token. And once one of those tokens gets to the end, that's the end of the season. So there's balance between what you want to do if you're ready to just end the season quickly and kind of stop everything in its tracks as far as someone doesn't get their workers played because that moon went way too far, way too fast. But anyway, there's a lot of options and maybe a little bit of strategy on trying to do things quickly or trying to slow things down. But you play for 4 seasons, and it's very similar to as far as worker placement and everything like that. Your resources, how you build things is very similar. The cards some are similar, some are quite a bit different, but you do have like worker locations on your workers and buildings that are the red little house ones that have extra actions on them. You have your green building or constructions and critters that are going to produce. So as far as that goes, it's the same. But I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And it's one that will probably hit our table more often, especially now that life has started to slow down for us a little bit because we've missed the barbecue. I missed recording. We've had graduations and kids leaving. And anyway, so a lot going on in my house. I'm excited for the summer to start and things to settle down kind of as my youngest starts football. And that's a whole nother lot of time sucking stuff that's going to happen as far as that goes and vacations. But
Yep.
it's still going to be great. And hopefully this game will hit the table more often than not.
I would love to play this game, so I'm way excited.
It's great. I think you'd like it.
Me too. I picked up a copy of this. I'm really excited to play it.
So if it doesn't work out for you, Andy, Doug, I'd really love to play this game.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
don't talk to me.
Yeah, don't worry, Nathan. I'll get this one played.
Thank you.
Yeah. You and me.
Hey, Doug, just beat Nathan for me because
That doesn't take much.
that's why he doesn't want to play with me.
You're not wrong.
No, I really am excited though that you had a good time playing it though. Yeah, like I kind of talked about this and I won't like prattle on too much, but this is the trend. These duo versions of games, this is the trend right now. We're in the thick of it. We'll see more for sure. And so if it changes the game enough and gives sort of a unique 2-player experience, those are, I think, the games that I'm a little bit more excited about, a little more into. So it sounds like this one is definitely doing some things that the original Everdell wasn't, and is unique and kind of special on its own. So I'm excited about that. That's great.
Good times for sure.
Yeah, this may be one Lydia likes a little better because the season ends for everybody at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than at different times like the base game does.
That's kind of what I'm hoping, is that this will be one that she will like, because I don't think she's ever going to like the base game.
It's a pretty big game.
Yeah.
Well,
at this point it is. Yeah.
There's a bit of a learning curve with that game. You can end up completely done and everybody else is in spring still. I mean,
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no Carvey, but
No, it's no Carvey. She hated that game too.
yes, she did. All right, what do you got?
I wasn't too far behind her in that. So, I have been trying to get some games prepped for SaltCON, and so one of those games is Barenpark. I haven't played this one for a while, and when I was coming up with games to teach for SaltCON, I was like, yeah, that's one that I need to get back at. I'm actually a pretty big fan of Phil Walker Harding. I like his games. I like his designs. So I busted this one out and taught it to Lydia the other day, and we had an absolutely fantastic time. So we threw in the Bad News Bears expansion. So we played with the Grizzlies, and I think it modifies some of the numbers and things like that. But we didn't play with the monorail. So next time we play, we'll throw that one in there too. But I just think this is a really good game. If you like the polyomino style games, and you definitely want one that will give you that, like, I think like in addition to like just the polyominoes, I think there's some really fun sort of spatial puzzles to solve, like how you're actually laying out the different tiles in the park, how you're going to move from tile to tile. And of course, if you're playing with the expansion, you also get that exit, right? So you're playing it, you build it slightly larger and you have more options, and there's some things like that. So this is a great game. Especially if you like those spatial relationship puzzle style games, the polyomino games, definitely go check out Barenpark. And if you can, just pick up that Bad News Bears expansion, because I think you need it. If you like Barenpark, you're going to love the expansion.
I agree.
It's kind of an all or nothing sort of thing. You don't have to have it. It's not like quote unquote essential, but if you like the one, you're going to like the other.
Yeah, I agree. So, I think it's a great addition to the game.
For sure.
Excellent. All right. Well, just to review, we are talking about the open drafting mechanic. This is a specific type of drafting where players take turns selecting items from an open market, such as cards, tiles, dice, anything in that pool. To touch on some key points again, that open drafting and market games have a lot of overlap. And as such, there is a shared pool. There is visibility that everybody can see what is coming up, which you're going to have turn-based selection where I'm going to pull something out of the pool. People are going to take turns pulling something out of the pool, and which does provide some strategic information. You know, I can do the counter draft. I can try to plan ahead, see what's going to be most beneficial for me. What differs from regular drafting to open drafting is the open market, right? If I closed draft is where I have a hand of cards, but I don't know what's in that hand of cards until I receive it, or that selection of tiles or goods or whatever. But that key difference is that the pool of options is available to the next player is unknown. So that's the difference. Open drafting, all the information's there. Closed draft is I don't know what I'm going to be get. I don't know what I'm going to be getting, and I have to make that decision once I receive those cards in my hand. So with that, let us turn the page to our top 5. So let's start with our number 5s. Andy, you said you wanted to go first.
Excellent.
How did you? I just said that in my mind. Whoa.
I heard it.
You can read minds.
That is amazing.
Wow, Nathan. All right, and my number 5 is the Taverns of Tiefenthal. The drafting aspect of this game has a dice drafting element, and it has a market element as well. So after you have done the guest arrive phase, which means you're filling your tavern with your cards, and once your tables are filled, you're done, then we'd move into the dice. So you're going to roll your dice, you add them, put your dice onto your little coaster, and whoever the starting player is, they will draft one of those 4 dice first. And then the next player and so on. You pass it, and then you draft from one of the 3 dice, and so on until you have 4 dice.
Yeah, so everybody's passing a coaster.
Everybody passes their coaster clockwise until everyone has 4 dice. What the dice are used for is to take actions in your tavern. So pretty much everything in your tavern is going to have a pip value on it or a question mark, so you can put any pip value on those spots. but the pip value is going to activate that location. So for example, if I want to activate my brewer, then I need to use 1s or 6s. If I have guests, they will all have a pip value on my guests, typically are going to produce that many coins that I can use for that round. So for example, if I have one of my starter cards, which are going to be 1s and 2s, I have a spot for my 1s and 2s. 5s are always going to be your monk. They'll go up on the monastery track and so on. So your dice drafting it happens every round. It's going to determine what you get to do in your tavern during that round. When people roll terrible, when everybody rolls terrible, it sure makes for a really crappy round. Even if you have I got so many awesome cards out here and I can't do anything with them because the dice are crappy. Which has happened. It happens pretty much every game. There's one round at least that the dice just hate everyone. But there are ways to mitigate that by going to the market and purchasing additional guests that are going to go into your deck. And those guests will have a pip number on them from 1 to 6. So at the beginning of the game, 3s and 4s are garbage. You can't use them really for anything except for your 2 question mark areas that are going to give you coins and beer, one of each. But otherwise, they're worthless until you start getting some of those cards that will activate on a 3 and a 4 and actually make those numbers useful. The drafting part of this is fun. It's a fun part of it. It's fun to watch what everybody else is doing. You really have to pay attention to what cards came out on their board. Okay, he has a 2, so this 2's not coming back around to me in a lower player count game. So I'm going to take that 2. Right? You have to pay attention to what other players are going to be doing more so than I think in other drafting games where sometimes you just don't have to pay attention. You have to pay attention in this game on the dice in particular.
And the dice that are coming up maybe two turns away.
Exactly. Yep. This is a great game, and the drafting's a really fun element in it.
Yeah, excellent.
That's awesome. Yep. Very good pick. I really like Taverns of Tiefenthal as well. My number 5. Okay. So, and first of all, I guess I will just say, when I sat down and I was thinking about my top 5s, I really wanted to pick, 5 games that were just great games, right? They need to be good games on their own. They sort of B, needed to implement this mechanism well. And then C, the criteria I tried to use was like, okay, what is something unique about this mechanism, like to each of these games? Like what do they do that sort of puts their own spin, or what is it that sort of pushes this mechanism like to kind of to the next level a little bit, right? My number 5, the first one I want to talk about here is Undaunted Normandy. So this one's kind of unique because it's the open market, so to speak, right? We've kind of talked about that in our last episode, sort of difference and similarity between, an open draft, just having stuff out versus, a market, what people might consider just a market.
Right.
So the unique thing about this is that each player gets their own sort of market. They get their own pile of cards, right? Depending on the scenario you're playing, each character or each player is going to set up in a unique way. You've got a starting hand of cards, a starting deck, and then as the game goes, you get to customize that deck, not with a center row market, not with a market that can be pulled from, by all players, but rather your own unique stack of cards, your own unique sort of market of cards. And that's the thing that I think this game does really well. I think it's really interesting to sit and try to noodle out like, okay, how do I want to best build this deck to meet the objectives? How can I counter what I know my opponent, what I can see them doing? What cards do I want to put in, or what cards do I want to take out? Because taking cards out is also totally an option. Of course, how all of that translates into moving my troops on the board and trying to capture objectives or take out enemies, that kind of thing, all sort of coalesces into what I think is a really, really great game.
Played this once with you, and I very much enjoyed it.
Well, and we played Callisto,
which led me to purchase Callisto.
Yeah.
I was really somewhat interested in picking up all the Undaunted stuff. Callisto coming out at the time, I was like, okay, I'm just going to hold off and pick up Callisto, which we haven't played a ton of. We played it the first time and we haven't played it since.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the Normandy series.
Yep.
And I enjoyed Callisto and very much look forward to playing it again and having that more experience with it. It is a phenomenal game, and I really like the way that the gameplay all comes together. So Yeah, it's a great game.
Excellent.
Thanks for introducing me to it and sharing it with us today.
You bet. Yeah. Now we just need to play it some more.
We do. Yes, we do.
I'm excited about your number 5, Nathan.
So my number 5 is a classic game, a game I need to sit down the table. You haven't played this one, right, Douglas?
I'm looking at your list. If you're talking about,
Nope.
you did yours in reverse.
Yeah.
I have not played this.
Okay.
I'm excited about your number 1.
Yes. Yeah. I figured you would be. But this one is Beowulf, the Legend. And you played it with me, right?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. This is, the open drafting in this game is very interesting. It has several different ways that it does it. So the premise of the game is you are on an epic journey with Beowulf. And Beowulf is going through and he's doing all the epic things that Beowulf does in the Beowulf poem. And you're just kind of following along and trying to support Beowulf in this endeavor. And so there are opportunities where you come to a point where a decision has to be made and you're going to make your effort to... The goal is that you're going to replace Beowulf as king when he passes. You're going to be his successor and take over as king. And so there's sometimes where it's an open draft, where you got everything up there, and sometimes you're drawing some cards. You're going to risk, and you're going to draw some cards. Sometimes there's tokens that you're going to pick up. Sometimes there's specific cards that are in the options. Sometimes it's a mixture. And sometimes it's a closed draft where you're bidding on things. You know what's out there, but everybody's going to bid on these resources that they're going to be gaining. As the trail progresses, as the adventure progresses, you're going to have to help Beowulf with all these things. Very interesting and a great game. I mean, it's dated for sure. Don't get me wrong. It is a dated game, but it is, I think, an exceptional game.
2005.
Yeah.
It's 20 years old.
Yeah. And it is still a great game. That just the unique feel of the mechanics. When I was looking through my list, I was like, that's got to be on my top 5 because of the way that it does the open drafting.
Awesome.
Very nice. Yeah, it's been a while since we played this, several years actually.
Yeah. Well, with revisiting it, I definitely think we need to get it to the table again.
Yeah, for sure.
And definitely show Douglas
what it's all about.
What it's all about.
Yeah.
I was going to say what a fun game is, but Douglas knows what a fun game is.
I do.
Yeah,
I can usually recognize one when I see it.
Yeah, most of the time.
Most
Sometimes
of the time.
You have some issues, but not as many as Andy. But
what are you talking about? I know all of the fun games.
you know all of
Actually, have
Whoa.
a much better reputation.
Did you hear
than do,
that?
Nathan.
He knows all of the fun games.
Yeah, I have a much better reputation than Nathan, who thinks party games fall into that category.
We call party
fun
games
games.
fun games. So
Yeah. You
Well,
call
Nathan.
Wow.
Nathan calls them
Wow.
party games, fun games.
Yeah.
I do that very sarcastically. Okay, that moves us to our number 4, because we're not talking about party games here. Thank goodness. All right, my number 4 is The Architects of the West Kingdom. I love this game. I love the whole West Kingdom series is my favorite, but Architects is it's my second favorite of the trilogy. Architects of the West Kingdom has a kind of similar, Doug, it's an open market drafting element where you get to draft your apprentices. So when you go to the workshop, you have an option of either drafting an apprentice or drawing building cards. Now, the apprentices can be absolutely crucial in the game. So this is a worker placement game, and it's a very unique worker placement game because when you place a worker at a location, that worker stays there. For example, if I go to the forest, I'm going to place a worker there, I get 1 wood. If I place a worker there at a later turn, I'm going to get a wood again, but I get 1 wood for every other worker that is mine at that location. So the second time I place another worker there, I'm going to get 2 wood, 3 wood for my third one, and so on. So having those extra workers can be super powerful. But as I gain apprentices, that is also most of them are going to have an ability that will be associated with a specific action location. So I might gain an extra wood, for example, if I have an apprentice that gives me +1 wood when I go to the forest.
right.
There's apprentices that will affect the black market, apprentices that will affect a bunch of different things. Not only that, each apprentice is going to have at least 1 tool icon on their card. Those tool icons are prerequisites in order to build your building cards. As you draw building cards, there's going to be required resources to build those cards and required tools or required apprentices that you need to have in your tableau of apprentices in order to build. The combinations that you can get can be really powerful, especially for certain locations to where you can get extra, a lot more options if you go to the King's Storehouse, because there are 3 options at the King's Storehouse that are static on the board. Having apprentices that open up those options and give you more options as you go to the King's Storehouse. So I go there, I have 4 workers there, I can take 4 of those actions. Having extra actions that I can take at that location is huge.
Yeah.
Amount of things you can do with these apprentices, if you get the right combinations going, is awesome. And that's one of the things that really makes the game fun. The West Kingdom, in my opinion, is the best. Most everybody's that I've talked to, this is their favorite one of the West Kingdom
The
trilogy.
Shem Phillips games.
Of the West Kingdom trilogy in particular.
Okay.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. I think this is up there for me. I think Viscount I thought was particularly great, but yes,
Yeah.
this one's really good.
And that's in my number 4.
Excellent. My number 4 is a little game that's not so little. It's The Reckoners. And we've talked about this one quite a bit on the podcast because it's one that I think we all really like. I think what made this one stand out and made it unique to me is that this one is an open drafting game that is cooperative. So players are deciding as a group how they want to use their resources on what to draft, right? You're pulling a card, represents gear or special abilities. And not only do you have to combine resources to purchase those items, but you also then have to kind of make the decision on who gets to take them, who gets to use them, who is going to be the best to most efficiently use that equipment and manage that equipment. So that's kind of the twist on it that I think makes it really good. Not only is it an overall great game, but it also I think does this particular mechanism quite well.
I like the challenge of it. I actually really enjoyed the series.
The Reckoners books.
The Reckoners. I was going to say
awesome.
the Steel Slayer, but that was book number 1. I really enjoyed this, and I think this is one of those games that really kind of takes what the book was and what the story was all about, with the studying of the epics and trying to find their weaknesses, and to be able to find their weaknesses to be able to defeat them is done really well and transposes into the game very well. Excellent. My number 4 is an older game again. This is a great little card game.
Wow.
Great little card game called Corsari. Or if you can't find Corsari, you can pick up I Go, which is a really lame version of the same game. But this is a rummy based game.
There's no pirates.
There's no theme in it at all.
Yeah.
And it's not fun. But
You take the pirates out.
you take all the theme out. Yeah. So in Corsari, you have pirates, and you're trying to set sail. And so you have the tavern that's open up in the middle. And what happens in the tavern is you're trying to establish a crew. And your crew can consist of 2 colors, and those 2 colors are going to score for their face value. However, none of those numbers can match. So I can't have a 2 of those 2 colors. If I can have a 2 in orange and I can't have a 2 in red, because I can only have unique numbers. So if I have a 2, then that second 2 is going to count as points against me, and I want low points. So you have those 2, and then you have prisoners. And prisoners are located in the tavern. So you'll look in the tavern, and whatever the top card in the tavern, those are considered your prisoners. And so those cards will count for 0 in your hand. And then everything else counts as stowaways, and you want to be able to have lower numbers of stowaways, or if you're lucky, you can shoot for the moon and have 0 points. So this is rummy style game. So in the tavern, you can take the top card of the tavern, and if I take that top card, then now the prisoners most likely will change unless those 2 cards were identical. and then that color changes as what's going to be in your prisoners. Then you're going to discard a card. So I'm going to discard a card into that draw or discard pile, and then becomes the next person's turn. And on their turn, they can draw from that face-up discard pile. They can draw from the tavern, or they can draw a face-down card from the draw pile. And then whatever they draw, it's going to add to their hand. They're going to reevaluate their hand, and then they must discard a card. And that whole process, it's, this is a rummy-based game. You're trying to isolate those two things. You're trying to isolate two sets of colors in unique numbers, and then you're going to get rid of all your prisoners because they count as nothing, and then you're going to count up the total of your stowaway. And then you play the game till I believe it's 100 to 200 points. I want to say it's 100 points. Once one player has scored 100 points, that's the game's over, and then whoever has the lowest points is the winner. This is a great classic game, and if you can find it, I totally recommend picking it up. Or you can pick the lame version of iGo, which is
Just
the
colors.
same game.
Yeah, it's just colors.
It's the same game. It's just colors.
No stowaways.
Not near as cool.
Yeah, not near as cool. It's just you have the two numbers, your two colors you're running for, your discount numbers, and then your leftover numbers, which is boring.
Boring.
Yeah.
I think I'm taking pirates out. Good
Yeah.
heavens, what's wrong with people?
So, Corsari, I highly recommend. iGo, not so much.
Yeah, Corsari was when we played this on the airplane once.
Yeah.
When we were flying, not driving on the plane. We were not piloting the plane. We were passengers down to BGG.
Yes.
So it was good times.
Yep. Very good game.
All right. So my number 3 is the Reavers of Midgard. This game there's a lot of things you can do on this, and there's quite a bit of drafting. So there are villages that you can pillage. When you go to those villages and you spend the dice to pillage those villages, you're going to gain cards, and some of the cards will give you immediate bonuses. Some will give you set collection depending on where exactly you're going to go pillage. On top of that, you also have you can go fight monsters. So there are several monster cards that are on the board, and when you go to those locations, you can choose which monster you want to battle. You spend the dice, kind of a dice collecting game. Your dice are considered your warriors. You spend the dice to fight the monsters, and they get added to your victory pile. There are also relic cards that are face up that will give you bonus points depending on what you are really focusing on in the game. So some of those can become quite powerful as for end of game points, which is typically what the relics are going to be used for, is end of game points. But they can synergize quite well with certain strategies that you're doing in the game. So there's lots going on, lots of different kind of open market style drafting that can happen throughout this game. And get to roll dice and spin dice as Vikings. And it's Vikings.
It's Vikings.
Awesome. It's a great
Almost
game.
as cool as pirates.
I think they're just as cool as pirates. They're right up there.
They are pirates.
They're the northern pirates.
They are the northern pirates. The pirates with horned helmets.
The pirates with horned helmets, yes. Except for I don't think they ever really had horned helmets. But,
No, just the
still,
lady in the opera.
But still, hey, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Pirates with horned helmets.
Pirates
Sure.
with horned helmets. All right, now that I've totally derailed your game, I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Come for the game discussion, stay for the odd
Commentary?
History.
The odd non-history. Reavers of Midgard. It is one of the 2 Midgard games that are full board games, and they're both awesome. But this one, I liked the drafting on it a little better than Champions of Midgard.
Excellent.
Yeah, I also really like this game. This is another one that I wish hit the table a little more often. Though we do play it. It's in the rotation every, 2 years or so.
Something like that. Maybe once a year. It probably hits
Yeah.
my table once a year.
Okay. So yeah, it's just one that I wish we played a little bit more, but I really like Reavers of Midgard. That's a really good choice. My number 3 is one that is new to all of us and one that we all really, really enjoyed.
Yes.
2 thumbs up with this.
Absolutely. This is SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. This is a game that we have all, I think, kind of fallen in love with. And this mechanism in this game, I think, is done very well. Now, here's what's interesting. The game has just an offering, is what they call it. It's the offering. There are 3 cards. So it's not a big market or anything like that. It's just 3 cards up there. But the fact that you get to that you can not only take those cards should conditions arise to let you do so. And some of them are very good cards. Some of them may work very well into your strategy. It's nice to have some cards that provide you with some options and some strategies. But also, those are the cards that are going to get used. You're going to discard those cards when you scan certain sectors, because they each have like a color on them, and then you discard that card, and that dictates what colored sector you get to scan when you take that turn. So it leads to a lot of turnover in those 3 cards. Like, it's only 3 cards, but there's a high level of turnover with all of those.
Right.
And it really makes you focus in and be like, okay, do any of those work? No, because, odds are they're not going to be available when it gets back to my turn, or at least some of them won't be. And so it really, I think, kind of makes you think you really want to pay close attention. You want to play very close attention, not only to what the card does, but to the color that it provides, especially if it's black, which, not to go into any kind of teach or anything like that, but like the black are a little bit more rare. Right. Scanning those sectors is a little harder. And so, there's maybe a little bit more of a race when those cards come out. So the thing I guess that I like so much about this is just the way that it makes everybody pay so much attention to those cards that are on offering, because they're important and they cycle fast.
A few months ago, we talked about, and I'm going to derail this just a little bit, but a few months ago, we talked about multi-use cards. And at that point, we had not played this game. This would have totally been on my list of probably top 5 games for multi-use cards.
Yeah.
It's like phenomenal for that.
No doubt about it. Yep.
Yeah, this is such a fun game.
It's hard to beat SETI.
It is.
Because SETI was such a fun game. But on my list, my number 3 is Acropolis. So Acropolis is you're building your Greek metropolis, Acropolis, and you are adding on tiles. These tiles have 3 hexes that are attached, and so you're adding those onto your metropolis to make it bigger and try to score different elements that are on the board. You have some of the yellow, the market, and they will score for whatever level they're on. If they're on the table, they're on level 1. If they're stacked on top of the second layer, because this is a kind of a 3D stacking game, then their points are doubled, then they're tripled, and you go on. But markets will score as long as that market is not touching another market. The parks, they don't matter wherever they are. They're the green ones. They can go wherever. You have, and I can't remember what all the buildings are. You have the purple ones, and the purple ones just need to be surrounded on all edges. And you have the red ones that need to be the military barracks that they need to be, or the forts. I can't remember what they are, but they need to be on the edge. They need to have nothing next to them on one side. And I'm sure I'm forgetting another color, but the way you score is based on how your metropolis looks at the end of the game. You're going to draft those tiles. Everybody sees those tiles, and then when the stack gets down to just having one tile in it, you're going to replenish that, and from the next stack add some more tiles in there. I really like this game. It has the expansion, and I'm totally drawing a blank on the expansion. What's it called, Andy? Do you know?
Athena,
yes, the Athena expansion. Which I haven't played. I'm really excited to introduce this. Our friend Brian Hirschbeck was way excited because you taught it with him with the expansion in it. And he loved that. I need to learn it because it is actually available. The Athena expansion is available on the BGA implementation. So we need to learn it, Douglas, so that you and I can implement that in there. And so, Andy, that means we need to get it to the table together.
I will always get this game to the table.
Yeah, this is such a great game. I love this game. It's one that is easy to teach, easy to play, very accessible, playing a ton of games with my wife, playing several games with Jody.
The expansion changes this game. It changes it very much as far as how you're laying everything out.
Yeah.
Because with the expansion, you have 4 cards out, and it's giving you patterns, essentially, that you're trying to create within your city. And as soon as you create that pattern, then you gain a tile, and you get to build part of the statue of Athena. That's a single tile that can be just one piece that matches a terrain, or it can actually be split into 2 different terrain pieces. And you place that over top of one of your pieces, or you can just set it as on the base level. But the way it changes everything is how you're planning everything out, because it takes a lot of planning, especially if you want to get multiple of those. I've never seen anybody build the entire statue of Athena. It is not easy. It takes a lot of planning and a lot of forethought as you're laying everything out to get everything to line up the way you need it to, because certain things have to be in certain spots in the certain order. And it's tough. Takes it from a pretty straightforward, simple little game, I'm building the city, to a whole another level of planning ahead. I liked it. It's really good.
Yeah, I really need to try it. Jody was playing a ton of these games until we kind of wore it out. So now maybe with Athena, Jody, let's get it back to the table.
Hey, if there's always an excuse to get Acropolis to the table, it's a good excuse.
Yeah, for sure. But anyways, that's my number 3.
All right, we're down to number 2. My number 2 is also one of the games in the West Kingdom trilogy. It is my favorite game in the West Kingdom trilogy. And that is...
Didn't you say that about the last one?
No, it was my second favorite.
Oh, okay.
This one's my favorite, and it is Paladins of the West Kingdom. This is my favorite Shem Phillips game. I love this game. There is a lot going on in Paladins of the West Kingdom. It is a big game. There's lots of drafting involved with this, down to the workers that you draft at the beginning of the round. So there are cards that are laid out. Everybody's going to draft cards, and that will determine what workers you start with, because you don't have workers that are your color of work. Each worker's color is going to do something different on your player board. And as you are playing those, you have also a market style drafting cards that are going to be the outsiders, and you also have villagers that you're going to be interacting with. So there are 3 different types of drafting that you're going to be doing in this game. As far as the outsiders are concerned, these are people that live outside of your realm or outside of the country that are either going to attack them to defend the country, or you're going to convert them. Those are 2 separate actions. If you convert them, you're going to use one part of the card and gain the benefit. If you attack them, you use a different part of that card and gain the reward for that. Same thing with the villagers. When you recruit villagers, you can either send them on a quest, or you can recruit the villager to be part of your village, part of your tableau, and that will have an ongoing permanent effect that will last throughout the game. If you send them on a quest, they just get discarded and you gain the one-time benefit for that. But those will also be in a line and you get to draft them. The further down the line, it's going to be similar to Architects of the West Kingdom, where if you want to interact with a card that's further down that row of cards, there's going to be a cost associated with that, typically in silver. So you pay the silver to interact with that card that's further down the line. The first one's free. Very similar to Acropolis, right? Where it costs stone to skip cards. It's going to cost silver to skip cards to interact with something that may be more beneficial further down that row. This game is awesome. Just talking about makes me want to play it. Because if I could find enough people to want to play it with me. But it's fun.
I will play it
2,
unless
3. You got 3 right here, right?
Sweet.
Yeah, unless there's something more fun.
There are very few games that are more fun than this. I love this game. It's great.
No, it's not a bad game, but it is definitely didn't make my top 5.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
I think Paladins is good. It's definitely good. And the expansion was almost too much for me. I think that's why I shied away from this one a little bit.
Yeah, I think we blown up your brain a little bit with that expansion. It does. There's already so much going on. Yeah. You almost have to have played this several times before introducing that expansion, I think.
Yeah, I just kind of got thrown into the deep end on this one. And
you sure did.
Whoa. Yeah. What is going on?
I think that happens with a lot of expansions, right? Is sometimes it's great to expand the game as long as you're familiar with the game. Sometimes expansions are just, we needed that.
Too fire hosey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, it's exactly like you said. Sometimes it's just, whoa. Yeah. Unless you're already super familiar with the game.
Yeah, I think this definitely falls into that category because there's already a lot going on in this game.
Yeah. My number 1's kind of the same.
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely could see that. All right. Well, that'll push us into my number 2. My number 2 is... and apparently this is kind of the episode where we're going to gush a lot about Everdell, but my number 2 is Everdell. When you talk about games that have sort of a central market that everybody's pulling from and looking at, this one is probably my all-time favorite. I love the central market in Everdell. It's a big market. You've got 8 cards. You've got a lot of options out there. But the thing that is so great about it is how everyone is constantly watching and trying to fish from that market. Produces a lot of really fun kind of anxiety and tension at the table. It's like, okay, I've got the farmer. I need the farmer's wife. And then when they pop up, you're like, okay, I know everybody else is going to be collecting this too. So you're just, it's that anxiety of like, okay, am I going to be the first one to grab it? Or, I've got the library now. I just need the library. And the game is constantly asking you to match those, the buildings and the critters that go in the buildings. And just the way that everyone is sort of watching and pulling from that market at the same time, the way that you integrate it into your strategy, the way it may change your strategy. Right? You may have stuff that you like in your hand that you weren't really planning on focusing on very much, but then those central market cards come out and you're like, oh,
now we got to change gears.
Hang on. I could switch and I could pair these two cards. I could get these down. That would actually allow me to do this, kind of start shifting and rethinking your priorities and how you want to pair everything up. And Everdell does an amazing job at that central market.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great game. I've only played it the one time. And ironically, it was played with all the expansions.
Did we play with
all?
No, there's no way we played
you
with
didn't
all.
play with all of them.
Well, I thought I played with a lot. I mean, the Pearl Brook was in there, and there was something else that was in there.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if we played with all of them.
You're only supposed to play with one expansion.
Oh, really?
Although Belfair is modules, so you can throw that one in.
We usually add Belfair into whatever.
Maybe that maybe it was just the Pearl Brook and Belfair.
I'll bet you that's what it was. So you played with the worst of all of the expansions, which is Pearl Brook, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Unfortunately,
as you don't like it, or the worst
okay.
that it's
it's fine.
It's good. It's just not as fun as the other ones.
Okay.
New Leaf.
I would like to try it with.
Yeah, it's like Pearl Brook, and then New Leaf is I think the next one. There by far. Spirecrest is the best. It's definitely better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I need to try it again.
Yeah.
Set it up.
We will do that.
All right. My number 2 is a newer game I really like, and ironically, I already mentioned it in my highlight. And this is River Valley Glasswork. This is one that Cheryl taught to Jim and Kim while they were here. This game is phenomenal, I think. I taught it to my daughter and her boyfriend, Zach. We started doing some investigation, and the deluxe version of this game, wow.
What's different?
It has glass pieces.
Oh, wow.
And they look really, really nice. I don't think they're worth the price, but they look really, really nice. And if I didn't own the game, because what I have, the components are fine. You talk to somebody like Greg and maybe somebody like Andy, and they're like, that looks amazing. Maybe I'll need to upgrade and have 2 copies of it. I mean, I have to do that all the time.
Yeah, that's not pointing the finger
it's
at
not
me.
pointing it. But I'm not getting this one. But if somebody said, hey, here's this, I would totally jump on that. So if anybody just has it and wants to get rid of it, I will gladly take it. But that's not here nor there. The open drafting in this game is the river and the lake, because you know what is in the lake. Doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be there when you need to pull from the lake. But if it's something you need, you can plan for it as it comes up. But as the river expands, you're going to, you have glass that's in your hand, and you are never going to play that glass. That glass is going to be put in the river. And at that point, you are going to be able to pull glass from either side of where you placed it, into the left or the right, north or south, whatever, depending on your table orientation, is you're going to take that glass that is adjacent to the one that you're putting in. And then you're going to add it to your market, your tableau board, and you're going to put pieces in by color, and you're going to start from the left and go to the right. And then if you ever get a duplicate color, then it's going to be stacked on top of the color wherever it is on your row. And the great thing is you're going to score each row. As long as there's no gaps in the row, you will score up to the gap. And then you will look at your columns and you will score the 2 tallest columns. And so you want, that was a weird way to say want. Want? You want to get your columns on the left. But sometimes if you've filled up a lot of that middle spot, then maybe you want to be able to score more of your columns, or your rows, I mean. So you want to fill up maybe that front column to be able to get the benefit out of rows that you have. So much going on, so many variety of ways that you're going to ideally score for each round, and each game is very unique in how it does that. And River Valley Glassworks is just phenomenal.
So the deluxe version.
So you're looking at it?
It's only $35 more, and you get clear acrylic pieces for the river, glass pieces for all your glass that's in there, your little animal meeples, all screen printed. They look awesome. Yeah. Layered boards.
And they're big too.
Yeah, and layered boards. So everything's layered.
Let's see.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
That
it
looks
is
really
only
good.
$30 more if you were
$35
if you were buying it. But
Yes.
you can't just buy up those upgraded. I can't just spend $35 to get those
you
upgraded.
can spend $75 on Amazon and just get it.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Sounds like that's what Nathan's going to be doing.
that's probably
That is
right.
definitely not what Nathan's going to be doing.
You know what, Nathan? Having 2 copies of one game
Stop.
apparently isn't that big of a deal.
Nathan, what are you scared? Are you scared?
Are you scared?
I'm so glad we are on video now.
Yeah, maybe I can pull over. Oh, look, there's 2 copies of that game. There's 2 copies of that game.
I double dog dare you.
No, it's not going to happen.
I don't believe you, but we'll see.
It looks pretty
We'll see.
epic. Epically
I mean,
awesome.
if I come across it in a game swap, it's gone. It's mine.
For $75?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
That's too
Or
bad.
if I can sell my copy for like $40, then
Maybe 35, 30, 25,
No.
15.
15. Go on, twice sold. No.
Would you take 5 for it?
Would you take 5? How about a pat on the back? But yeah, no. River Valley Glasswork, great game. If you can get the deluxe version on Amazon,
All the better.
all the better.
All right, we're
No,
down to-
no regrets.
no regrets. No regrets. All right, we're down to our number ones. Number
Are
one.
we up to the number 1? Are we down or are we
We
up?
counted down. It's a
Okay.
countdown.
Okay.
So we're down to number 1.
All right. Allowed.
All right, number 1 for me is one that I've talked about several times on the podcast, but especially with the deluxe version that came out, it is so high on my list for so many reasons, and that
a
is
great game.
The Castles of Burgundy. The drafting element to this is the game.
Yes.
Right. So you have buildings that are going to go on into your principality or estate or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it's called in the game, but you're going to be spending your dice to interact with the depots or the areas that are associated with the pip values. And there will be different buildings or animals, or in the deluxe version, it's the monasteries. So you'll gain, it's essentially like technologies, castles or mines. Anyway, there's lots of different things that you get to place on your board. Yeah. All of that is going to be drafted on the main board.
Ships.
That's the last one. Thank you. All that gets drafted and gets placed into a holding area on your board, and then you have to spend dice to actually place that into the estate itself and gain the benefits of it. And the color has to match what the terrain type on your board as well. This game is phenomenal, especially with that production of it. It is so good. The drafting in this is great. You're rolling dice, and I love the fact that there are ways, especially for how terribly D6s treat me in every single game.
Yeah.
I love that there are ways to mitigate poor dice rolling. So you have workers that can add or subtract a pip for every worker you spend. There are actually monastery tiles that you can gain that will change those to +or-1 or +or-2, which can really be beneficial if you roll terribly all game long.
Yeah.
Every single time you play. Sometimes it is a race. It's similar to some of these other drafting games, right? Where you want to get ships and someone else is finishing that, because if you finish all of the one type of terrain or one type of building type first, you get the extra bonus points for finishing those. And the second person to get it's going to get bonus points too, but they get fewer bonus points. And if you're the third or fourth, you're just out of luck. So there are definitely benefits to finishing those quickly. Mines always get taken quickly because they're going to give you silver every round. The earlier you get your mines, the more silver you're going to get, and you use silver to get the center black buildings that are in the center of the board, and those can be super powerful throughout the game. So this is one of those that is, the drafting is so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. You see whatever other people are taking, you're like, no, that's what I was doing on my turn.
Yeah.
But it's such a fun game.
Yeah, I love that the dice are multi-purpose as well, because you're using the pip value to draft from the board.
Yep.
Or you can have a pool of 3 buildings or structures, whatever you want to call them. And then you have to use that die to claim a spot on your principality.
Right, because if you fill that up and you have 3 in that location, you can't take anything from the board. So even if something comes out that you're like,
really, really want.
I need that tile, or I need that whatever, I need those 3 cows, I don't have any space. So you've got to get rid of something first, and if that's your second die to get rid of something, you have to wait till next round and hope that nobody takes it.
Yeah.
It's a great game. If nobody has played the Castles of Burgundy, you've got to play it.
Yeah.
It's
This is
phenomenal.
a game that I have yet to win, and I bet I have played this game 25 times.
Has it been that many times?
I can look it up really quick.
Wow.
But it's most games that I have a losing record of that many games is something like, all right, yeah, I'm lame. It's not my game. It's just not clicking for me. But for this game, I don't have to win to have fun at this game.
Yeah.
And to just sit there and play it and play it and play it. And such a great game. And then you never look up anything when you're on the fly, because then you can't remember how to do it.
Let me show you.
Yeah. Castles of Burgundy, 39 plays.
You're kidding. Almost
And
40 plays and you've
almost
not won?
40 plays without a win.
Oh my gosh. That's how good this game is.
Yeah.
Nathan still wants to play after 39 losses.
Yeah.
I've played it 37, so I'm not too far behind you. But I've
You've won.
won it 22 times.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You've
0
got,
for 39.
you've got a great winning record in that, Doug. Good for you.
Yeah, almost 60%. Not bad.
Most of them are
too
against me.
Bad.
It's an easy win. It's not saying much.
like taking candy from a baby.
Although there was one game I lost by 1 point. And I was like, I got this. No! So I've come close.
It was sad.
It was sad.
It was sad.
But I was actually excited because I did so well. So
Yeah.
sad and glad.
Sad
Well,
and glad.
let me tell you something that is not sad.
Your number one?
My number one pick is not sad. It is Ark Nova. This is a game that I know a lot of listeners will agree with me on.
Yes, they will.
This is a phenomenal game. Top to bottom, this game is amazing. It absolutely does deserve its spot at currently number 3. Number 3 all-time
game.
all-time game. And it really is a phenomenal experience. As far as the open drafting thing goes, there are 2 arenas where that drafting takes place, and it does it so well. And it's deeply meaningful to how you play the game and how you strategize. The first is the kind of the obvious. It's the market. It's the central row market.
That's the animals, right?
Right. Well, yeah, it's animals and the
Conservationists.
the conservation cards. Yep. So it's all mixed in there. But the main stack of cards comes out in a central display. However, you can't really look at the entire display all the time. You have a little marker that will move along, and the further that marker is along sort of the river of cards, that dictates how many of those cards you can look at when you're drafting from that river of cards. Now, there is a mechanism in the game. It's called snapping, and it does allow you to take one card out of like where you it doesn't matter where your little marker is. You can just take that card. So it's doing some interesting things because it's a market that you're taking cards from, but you're also trying to build your ability to look at more cards as it comes. But then it also gives you the mechanism to take one if you can time it. If you can pull that off, you play the right card or you trigger the right ability, and then you can go and you can take that card from the center row. So everyone is constantly analyzing and looking at the center row, and it's constantly getting flushed with new cards, especially with the new expansion. The expansion actually has a card. It has cards that have an icon on there that just sometimes push cards through that river even faster. It's just this massive, stack of cards. It's like, at this point, like yay big. It's huge. And every card is unique. So the possibilities on the strategy you want to create, on what you want to do, like all that is phenomenal, right? Everything there works really, really good. Okay, so you have that. Then the other arena of the game where you have some open drafting stuff is it's called the association board. So you have the association action that you can take where you're putting your associates, you're kind of sending them out to do different tasks for you. This is where you're going to sort of develop relationships with like zoos around the world kind of thing. So you can start to have agreements or whatever with Australia and with, Asia. Yeah, that kind of thing. It's also where you're going to go to get universities, which will add benefits like being able to keep more cards from round over round. They'll give you science icons that you can use to help build out your zoo and score points and all that kind of stuff. That's also, the association board is also where you're going to go to complete conservation projects. Now, while everyone can technically do that, there's kind of some first come, first serve points that are optional that you can also take as you participate in those conservation projects. So again, it's such a great game, and it has those two arenas. There's lots to look at. There's lots of strategies to build. Everyone is very engaged in what's going on. Somebody may take the university that you really want for a round. And it's like, okay, well, how am I going to pivot? Because a new university of that type isn't going to come around until the round refreshes.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's little things like that. Like you're not going to get cut out of a strategy, but you have to start thinking about like, okay, how can I pivot and do something else for now? And then kind of revisit that later. Anyway, this is a phenomenal game. Ark Nova is amazing, and it pulls off this mechanism so well and does it in, I think, incredibly unique ways with lots of diversity. So this one takes the cake for me. This is my number one by quite a bit, actually.
I think I want to play this game with Brad and Nathan.
You're a jerk.
Why?
Why? I actually have played this game 5 times.
Have you?
Yeah, I've played this game 5 times.
5 times, really?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, for real.
Wow. How many wins do you have?
I don't want to talk about that. It's the same track record as I
Castles
have
of
as
Burgundy.
Castles of Burgundy.
It's only 5 times, though.
But it's only 5, yeah.
No, I did not enjoy my one play of this game, but I do think I need to play it again.
I think that the teach and the people you play with really matter. The more you know, like the more you've played it and you're familiar with the cards and the strategies and stuff, the better
more
you're going to
advantage you're going to have.
100%. Yeah, that's just going to happen. So I do think that it matters who you play with, and definitely the teach matters quite a bit. So I just checked. I have 27 games of this logged, and it doesn't feel like anywhere even close to enough. Like I need to play this so many more times.
So my highest score was 37 points. And it says my lowest score was minus 58. Is that possible?
Yes, because of the old way that they scored. Now they've changed that. It's been sort of retcon. Now everyone just gets positive points. But it used to be that you could definitely get negative points.
Everyone gets positive points most of the time.
Most of the time. I can find a way.
My top score is 139, and I don't even think that's that high compared to what some people can score in the game. Yeah. So
what I want to know is, why did you call me a jerk when I said I wanted to play this with you and Brad?
Because you only want to play with Brad and I because we're easy targets.
Is that what? Come on.
What? You see that look in your face? It's on video.
It's on video.
Everybody can see that sarcasm.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. My number one is a great game. This is White Castle. White Castle was one I kind of picked up on a whim.
So good.
And I love White Castle. It is, there's dice that are rolled. So there's 3 colors of dice. There's the white die, the red die, and the black die. And then they are put on 3 different bridges. And then they are put, so they're put in numerical order. Just off the bridge on the left is the lowest, and then you're going to put the 3 die in the middle, depending on your player count. And then the highest die is going to be off the bridge on the right. So your open draft is those dice. You can draft either the one that's on the far left or the one that's on the far right of the 3 colors. So on your turn, depending on how far you're into the round, you have your choice of those 6 dice. And you're going to take those dice and you're going to place them in the castle. You're going to place them you can place them within the castle, and you can place them off to the side. That will allow you to select one of the 3 main actions. You can place them, where else can you place them?
You can also place them on your main board.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Your main board to take advantage of what you have, actions that you have there. And the great thing is, depending on your player count, you can, sometimes you can stack your die. They can have 2 dice in a spot, but the board has spots for your dice, and those dice spots, locations, all have a pip value on them. And so if you put a die there and your die value is lower than what you're covering, then you're going to pay. You're going to pay in yen. You're going to pay the difference. If your die value is higher than that what is printed on the board, or the die that you're stacking on, then you're gaining money back. Or if it matches, then it's a free action for you. But this game is phenomenal. I mean, you're going to take, 16 turns?
Well, it depends on whether you're playing with the expansion or not.
Yeah.
If you're playing the base game, it's 3 rounds, and there's 3 drafts per round.
9 turns.
So it's 9 turns.
Yeah.
And it turns into 12 if you're playing with the expansion.
With the matcha expansion.
Yep.
And again, I mentioned earlier when we were talking, the matcha expansion for White Castle is phenomenal. But again, to include that, you should be familiar with the base game. I wouldn't jump straight into it.
Sorry, Linda.
I think she still had fun.
I think she did.
All that you're doing, I mean, there's kind of 3 key elements that you're either the fisherman. Is it the fisherman at the bridge? I think it's the fisherman at the bridge.
Farmers.
There's the farmers at the bridge, the courtiers in the castle, and the knight or the samurai in the armory, or not the armory, but the war ground, the practice ground.
Yep. And then if you're playing with the expansion, it introduces the tea house.
Yeah. And it's such a phenomenal game. It's not really a hard teach. It's a pretty simple teach. We all played this for the first time at BGG last year. And from there, it just went on to playing it again and again. Poor Nathan Tinney didn't like it. I don't know if he didn't like it, but he didn't get it.
Yeah.
And
well, it's easy to learn and hard to master.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you're going to go into this your first game and just be like, I've got it,
unstoppable,
I'm amazing, you'll probably be pretty disappointed. So don't go into it with that attitude.
Yeah. But this is such a great game. I thoroughly love the White Castle, and very much encourage anyone to pick it up, and then shortly after pick up the matcha expansion.
It can be an experience.
It could be an experience. It's an amazing experience with the expansion.
It's one I haven't experienced yet.
Well, you should.
I should.
We should fix that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that's it.
Awesome.
That's our top 5.
Awesome games that
Fantastic.
we've all picked out. I think all of them are great. I have, other than Ark Nova, but that's because I had a sour experience. I need to remedy that. So,
yeah,
I like it.
I mean, I've had terrible experiences too, but I've not discounted Ark Nova.
I'm kind of in the same boat.
Yeah. I just need to play it with, well, definitely not Richie, nor Dave,
Nor Dennis.
Or really kind of any holiday.
I'm right here. I'm right here.
Yeah.
Well, next time we have time at my house, I'll set this up and I'll do a teach and we can play this one.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I really do think you'll like it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Maybe next week.
Ooh. Okay.
That
do it.
sounds great.
I like it.
All right. Well, reach out to us. Let us know what your top 5 open draft games are. We would love to hear from you. Until next time.
We'll see you counting down to your number 1s and seeing if they matched up to our number ones
There we
at the
go.
game table.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com/Meeple Nation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/Meeple_Nation. Or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, and I want to thank James and Kim Clark who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.